Hello Mom and Dad Meet World, and welcome to yet another iPhone unboxing video. I think there have been a lot of iPhone 15, 15 Pro, and especially a lot of 15 Pro Max unboxing videos, so welcome to video number 4998. Yeah, you've seen them. They've been dropped, they've been drowned, they've been set on fire, they've been manhandled, crushed in the hand, but we're not doing that. We're just gonna truly open this up right here. So this is the iPhone 15 Pro Max in natural titanium. Without further ado, let us start the unboxing. So the normal, you have a green tab up top. You've got one below. We're gonna open it up. Put this down right here. We've got the iPhone. Right here. We've got the paperwork. We've got the braided cable that everybody has seen. Here is this guy. Let us open this up. That gray looks like a very, very flat silver color. The sides feel great. And we're just gonna open this up. Here it is right here. Just a beautiful phone. You've got... Hello Mom and Dad Meet World. So this is an initial review, a 2-week review of the iPhone 15 Pro Max. It is right here, and this is for anyone who had gotten theirs on iPhone launch day and has been using it, or if you've gotten it near iPhone weekend. I know your return period is closing in very shortly, so I just want to give you my initial impressions and my initial review of the iPhone 15 Pro Max and how it has been for myself. So let me start off by saying the model that I do have. I've got the iPhone 15 Pro Max in the 256 gigabyte natural titanium color. I do like the color. It is very, very nice. I think it is a beautiful color, and for what it is, this is just a really, really pretty phone. So this is updated to iOS 17.0.3. I'm not going to go over benchmarks or spend too much time on the actual action button, as there have been several videos that go over benchmarks and the action button and all the things you can do with it. So one of the things I wanted to go over were the changes between the iPhone 14 Pro Max and the iPhone 15 Pro Max, and I initially didn't think there were that many changes until I actually started to make a list. One of the things right off the bat is the actual titanium chassis. So we go from stainless steel to titanium. They actually took and they put the titanium and the aluminum together, and this is what you get. So one of the things to go from the iPhone 14 Pro Max to iPhone 15 Pro Max are the edges. You've got actually nicer rounded but square edges right here. It does make it much more comfortable to hold in the hand over the 14 Pro Max with the stainless steel, but with this you've got the rounded edges in the titanium with the titanium and the aluminum. They've bonded those together, but it is the titanium outer. Another thing you've got this action button that is sitting right here on the side, and this action button, you can pretty much program it to do anything you want. I have actually just kept mine to mute or unmute because that's pretty much what I'm used to. One thing about the action button is with it being on a case or with me not using it in a case, which is very, very, very rare, I actually mistake it for the volume up button. So I'm glad that you actually have to press and hold to engage the button, because if you didn't, then I would be pressing it mistakenly pretty much all the time. So I do like that you have to press and hold to actually engage the mute or unmute, which is what I've got it set to. And I like it very much when you've got it set to mute or unmute. that is just what I'm used to, and I'm not changing it because, well, when it's in the lock screen, you could easily get to your camera or your flashlight by just tapping on the screen and choosing that particular function. So another thing you'll notice too, you'll notice slightly thinner bezels over the 14 Pro Max. So if it's in a case, like I keep it in most of the time, it's actually not that big a deal to actually have those thinner bezels, but it is quite nice, and it's pretty amazing from a design perspective when you actually look at the two side by side and you just see how much thinner it actually is. The next thing is it's a much lighter, feels much lighter. These are still big phones, but the 14 Pro Max felt heavy. This still feels heavy, but it does feel lighter than the 14 Pro Max, so that is nice. The other thing you're gonna notice here, and you may not notice, but it does have a 5x optical zoom versus the 3x optical zoom on the telephoto lens. And then from what I've heard also, there's actually an updated LiDAR lens on here too. LiDAR tells you how close or far away something is. So those two lenses are new. And then you've got the A17 Pro chip on here versus the A16 Bionic. So you've got the A17 Pro, which is on that 3 nanometer build on the chip. So supposedly that's gonna be very neat, and I'm sure in the future, this is more future-proof than anything, but yeah, you do have that A17 Pro with that 3 nanometer chip. And then I think one of the biggest things, but actually not a very big deal to myself, you've got the USB-C connector right down here as opposed to Lightning. And I only say not that big a deal to myself is because for 99% of the time I do charge via MagSafe, and I do really like the MagSafe charging. I just like that better than plugging in the cable. So I want to address another thing which has been brought up several times, and that is overheating. So I have not had this phone actually get warmer than any of my previous iPhones. You do have the initial setup process and the restore process where I will just typically go through and restore from one iPhone to another, and then I just leave it on the MagSafe charger and let it do its thing overnight. Yes, you can feel it does get slightly warm, but nothing that's going to be too alarming. If you do run maps, GPS for a long time, you're shooting long video, it will get warm, but again, nothing to be worried about. And with the latest videos from iPhonedo's channel and from MaxTech's channel, they did discover that it is Instagram that is causing that overheating, and there was a software fix for that. And they have discovered that iOS 17.0.3 does not actually throttle performance, so this is nice and zippy, not overheating, but still super duper fast and fluid, which is very nice. And then the other thing to note too is when you are doing your updates and doing the initial setup or putting it through a long video or GPS and you're leaving it in your case, that might cause it to also keep that heat in. But again, it is very efficient with the thermals, so nothing to worry about. So overall, overheating is a non-factor, was brought up because of I don't want to say it, but bad software, and the bad software was causing it to overheat in the Instagram. So, but again, not a big deal at all. If there was an issue, it was fixed, and it is a nice, zippy, and fluid phone. So now let's talk about cameras. So the cameras on this phone are absolutely phenomenal for an iPhone, and it's what I carry with me about 100% of the time when I am out and about or even here at home. And if I don't have my Sony mirrorless camera, which I'm taking the video on right now, I am more than 100% confident in the photos and videos this takes that it will actually look very, very nice. So the 15 Pro Max does not disappoint in this department, and that 5x tetra prism lens, it's a phenomenal lens. The lens does look good, it looks sharp, and I was actually very, very surprised by how competent that lens is. It was a good surprise. So as good as the lens is, as good as all the lenses are, between that 24mm one-time lens to the 5x lens to the macro / ultra wide lens, you're not gonna get that that you're not going to get that very, very big or very large, shallow depth of field. You will get better depth of field if you get closer to your subject. And as you get closer to the subject, the background will naturally blur out. And you do have a little bit of that subject separation here, but nothing compared to, say, this Sony mirrorless camera, where it is just turning the background here into just bokeh heaven is what it is. And this is ultra clear. But again, the price difference between even just the lens to a camera, say something like the 16 to 35 millimeter G Master Mark II, this costs a fraction of what that lens is, and you're not even talking about the actual body or the memory cards for that lens. So that's just the lens itself. This right here, really phenomenal deal. You can actually get a 1 terabyte version of this, and it's going to be less than that lens itself. So the photos are very good on this phone, but the videos, I do got to say, if I don't have the camera with me, I will 100% take videos for this channel using the iPhone, whether it be the 13 mini, the 14 Pro Max that I did have. But the videos are very competent. They look excellent, and for what we have on us, I'm not complaining, and I don't think you guys are too. So there's two things I really do like the idea of having on here, but I personally don't use, just because I will use the Sony camera if I'm doing something a little bit more intricate where I need that just crispy video quality. And that is the idea of log recording, and the idea of being able to plug in a USB SSD drive and record directly to that drive, 4K 60, directly to an SSD in log, and then being able to take that footage. From all the videos I've seen online, that footage looks absolutely phenomenal when it is edited and color graded. The videos look phenomenal. They look very good. Like, you couldn't even tell that that was iPhone video versus a mirrorless camera. That's how good that log video does look. But again, I don't think I'm actually going to use that, because if nothing else, I will just actually end up using the Sony camera that I'm recording with right now. But I do like knowing that the feature is there, that if I ever did need to use it where I didn't have that and I just wanted that better video quality, I could just plug in a portable SSD to the USB-C and record directly on that long form using log video, and record in 4K 60 with log. That I absolutely do like. So overall, I do gotta say the cameras for photos and videos are absolutely phenomenal, as long as you are level set in your expectations that this is not a mirrorless camera, but a very darn good camera and video camera that we have on us pretty much all the time. You will not be disappointed with the quality, and we're gonna have some samples of that too, as you're gonna see. So let's talk about battery life. So on those days where I am out and about, going out there taking pictures, taking videos, I have absolutely zero qualms on the battery life on this. It is just as good as the iPhone 14 Pro Max that I had previously. I had no issues with that. I do gotta say the iPhone 13 Pro Max was probably the battery king I had noticed. And I only say that because I did not have the always on display on, and with the 14 Pro Max and the 15 Pro Max, I do like having the always on display, and I do keep it on all the time. So I will say that is a nice little feature they added, the always on, and the battery life does not suffer at all between the 14 Pro Max and the 15 Pro Max. At the end of my day, I've still got about 40–50+%. And then even on heavy usage days, I still have about 20 or so percent left. And that's pretty darn good for as much as this phone does get used. No need to worry about battery. And if you do, you can always plug in MagSafe, whether it be Apple's or a third party. Just plug it in right to the back and you won't be disappointed. So the question is, if you have an iPhone 14 Pro Max, is it worth the upgrade to the 15 Pro Max? Well, to me, I had this very odd issue with my 14 Pro Max to where when I would actually text message somebody, I had the camera go on and I would hear like a microphone or something go on. I actually had two different 14 Pro Max versions. I could not get the issue to stop, so it was just a quirk I lived with. But with this, I don't have any issues to where if I go to message somebody, it's just a regular text message and I can just message somebody. Before, I'd have like the orange light come up and I'd hear like the speaker or microphone. I don't know what the issue was, but for myself, just not having that issue, the upgrade to the 15 Pro Max is 100% worth it. But then let's talk about the phone itself and if it's worth getting. I 100% have to tell you, yes, between the titanium chassis, the rounded corners on the chassis right here, and the overall build quality, the feel of the phone feels fantastic. The 5x lens, the camera improvements, and I do largely think it's software improvement between the 15 Pro Max hardware and the software. I only say that because supposedly the only two new cameras we got was that 5x lens and the LiDAR. Every other camera remains the same, but the photos and the video quality are astonishing. I do gotta say they are phenomenal. I don't remember taking any bad photos or videos with the 14, but all the videos I've taken and the photos I've taken with the 15 Pro Max, they are pretty darn spectacular, and I do like it much better. I do love having that that ability to just have it save in 24 megapixel versus 12, just for a little bit more of that zooming and cropping capability. So that I do like. Apologies I didn't talk about it during the camera part of this review, but yeah, I do like having that feature. So if you just want the newness and that fresh perspective of that 5x telephoto tetraprism lens, that alone might be worth it. But between iOS 17.03 just making the phone just a little bit better, working out some of those bugs, and between the feel of the phone and just the overall quality, build quality of this thing, I absolutely do gotta say it is a worthy upgrade, whether you are coming from Android or whether this is going to be your year-to-year incremental upgrade. I do got to say, if you're coming from anything lower, I would say from a 12 or older, this is going to be a night and day difference, because having that 120 hertz ProMotion just makes the phone feel that much smoother. And with not having 120 hertz ProMotion, you can actually tell a difference by just using the phone and just the way it feels in hand. If you have a 13 or 14 Pro Max or newer, with the 13 you'll notice a dynamic island. Dynamic island is nice, takes a little bit of getting used to compared to having that notch that we've had for years, but I'm definitely used to it. And the phone will just feel smooth and feel fluid. As I said, for my personal experience, I had that weird bug with the messaging on the 14 Pro Max, so this is a welcome change. It feels like a brand new phone, and with this design of phone, it just seems like it's just getting more refined, and those bugs are leaving, and it just feels like a darn good phone. So hopefully you enjoyed this video. If you did, please like and subscribe. It really helps out our channel. And until the next video, thanks for watching.